Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Shane.
Here we are. How's it going, Amy?
It's going. It's
Technology.
going,
We
man.
love it. We love it.
Well, it is a
When it
love-hate
works.
relationship,
That's right.
man.
That's right.
You know,
It
is a
is.
necessary evil for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
So, oh my gosh, it's been a couple of weeks since we were last together, and you've done some travel.
I have done a little travel.
You've been to a couple of places, right?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah.
you know, the older I get, the less appealing travel is to me.
Same.
Yeah. But it's
Mhm.
necessary sometimes.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it when I go, but I'm also incredibly glad to be off of that train for a bit.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I have to do till first of the year. So that's
That's
nice.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
Levi, your son, just turned 21.
He did.
Right?
He did, man, which is
That's
just
so
amazing.
exciting.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's hard to
that's
believe
awesome.
he's 21 and I'm 39. I don't know how that happened.
Hey, me either, because you do look 39.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not that you don't.
Too fun. Too fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to dive in because you and I want to say maybe a couple of weeks ago, we were having a conversation about how to navigate that season in the business when things you're not sure what to do. Like you don't know if you continue in the thing you've been doing, the offer you have, if you need to reiterate the offer, if you need a whole new business model.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And the reality is that you and I were just talking about this, and you made such a clear distinction that the thing that makes us as entrepreneurs really good at what we do is our ability to move with urgency.
Yep.
There is some urgency in our steps, but it also goes against the skill and the virtue of patience.
Yeah, it does. It really
And
does.
right. And it is a hard line to walk. I mean, Warren Buffett said, you need to be greedy when people are afraid and be afraid when people are greedy.
Good
And
word.
this is ultimately what he was talking about was there is seasons of urgency. There is seasons you buy, and there is seasons you wait.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if we can't be people that can identify the time, is it a buying season or is it a saving and waiting season? Then we will forever be making really bad business decisions. Don't you agree?
I agree. And it does go against, you know, our logic, right? Because we've had some success and what got us there was being willing to move when other people and it produced results. And so we lock into this belief that that's the only way. We have to go when other people don't. And what Buffett is saying is, nope, not always true.
No,
not always true. So you do have to, and it's not as complicated as reading the tea leaves. There are some factors that if you are aware of them, can give you indicators of when it's time to wait. That still doesn't make it easy because in our nature, you know?
Yeah. And we really need to be able to discern the time. We need to understand what is happening. And what I find with most owners that I talk to is that the lack of patience and the lack of understanding that the time that they're living in and what's happening in the economy, and quite frankly, even understanding yourself, what trips your trigger, what sets you into motion to think, oh, I got to do something. I got to do something. I got to do something. That can be anxiety, or that can actually be time to move, right? And understanding how those things show up is really important. But most often owners end up creating multiple offers because they really have convinced themselves that their offer is no longer reliable. They just start buying things like buying automation. Like they might have at the top of the funnel 4 or 5 lanes of automation. But when you ask them, where is the majority of your leads coming from? Their answer is, I really don't know. Right. So then they don't really know what is driving revenue. So they are just truly making decisions from emotional responses. They're not actually in the driver's seat. Their emotions and the thing behind their emotions is what is driving them. You and I went through a book together called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. And this is his course on success in life and in business. And one of the things he talks about is the worst enemy we have is the one that we carry around right under our hat, our own mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be very careful about understanding what is tripping my trigger. Is this emotional, or is this really something I need to pay attention to? And how can you know? Well, I'm going to tell you right out of the gate, the way you know is through numbers. Numbers will help you guide if it is time to shift, if it's time to pivot, if it's time to reiterate, or if you need to stay the course. And that is a very powerful thing. We talk about numbers a lot. So I want to talk about really what's the word I'm looking for? Harnessing the virtue of patience in business, because patience is a very powerful position for an owner to take if they will, in fact, learn the skill set of patience. So, Shane, I would love for you to just start by telling us how you have developed patience in your own life.
Painfully, number one.
I know.
Painfully.
Same. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's part of the growth, so
Yeah.
it's growing patience means, for me, it took making some decisions too prematurely. It took making decisions without the numbers, and seeing the outcome didn't get me what I was really after. There were the times where I've been impatient. I didn't have the numbers to be able to guide me. Right. Like, so my patience didn't grow until I established there is a process that is predictable and repeatable for me to run my business off of. Like, I couldn't develop patience outside of that, because what do you have if you don't have a process for client acquisition? Like, what do you just have your feelings? Well, that is all mine, at least, all over the board. And if I'm using that to navigate by, it's coin flip. It's just coin flip. Like, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't have enough money to operate like that. Right.
Neither.
So the path to patience came with this predictable way to manage the business, where I had indicators of whether the message was still resonating with my target audience, with whether or not the content that I was delivering actually helped solve the problem that they were after, if there was still a viable solution that I had to bring with the current offer. I had to have those numbers before I could develop patience. Does that make sense? Or does that just sound like too ethereal or whatever, right?
No. I mean, you have to have something concrete.
You got to have something concrete. That's
if the gut feeling is a feeling, or if it is truly an indicator of the time. That's
right. So I had to learn to say no to my feelings, to look at the numbers. Like, that was the first step. Like, because all I had before was the feelings. Well, now I had the numbers. I had to tell my feeling, nope, we're going to reserve judgment. We're going to let the numbers dictate direction, not my emotions. Right. Like, so that was a big step in the process. And then now, when you have that concrete, objective set of indicators to operate off of, the decisions get a lot clearer. They don't get easy, but they get a lot clearer. Yeah. So that patience, I think, is developed by having some defined numbers to measure off of what is trending, where are we headed here.
Yep. And once we have that, then the next opportunity we have to foster patience is time. Right. So if we have numbers, now the next thing is time. Now, for many people that have this feeling of I need to do something, that can sound incredibly terrifying, because in the world of entrepreneurship, you've heard it said, time is money.
Time is money. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, time is also not money if you jump too soon and waste
a
lot of money.
Abuse of time is money too.
Yeah, that's well said. Abuse of time is also money out of your pocket and your life. And so we have to be very careful about that. So I know that we were touching on this before we hopped on here, and one of the one of the actions that I really paid attention to, and I still do when fostering patients, is taking slow, meaningful steps forward. So the
Mhm.
numbers tell me what steps are meaningful. So rather than adding in new steps while I am determining, is this the time to change? Is this the time to iterate? Or is this the time to bounce? Quite honestly,
Mhm.
I continue in what I know works. So I'm taking slow and meaningful
Yeah.
steps forward, because many businesses fail because the business owner tried to take too many steps at one time. And if we do
Mm.
not actually stop and say, okay, this is where the clients are coming from, this is where they're putting value. Let me focus on just these two things until I get more clarity, really fosters the skill and the virtue of patience, as far as what I have learned.
Yeah.
Anything that you would
Yeah.
add to that?
Yeah. So for me, the times where I've gotten ahead of the process, the
Mhm,
times where I haven't nurtured the time to be
mhm,
able to make it meaningful have been because I was greedy. That's plain
mhm,
simple. I mean, it's like, why do I want to accelerate through,
mhm.
and not steward that time well? It's because I'm
Yeah.
greedy. I want the outcome faster than what's possible. I
Okay.
want to get to it now rather than later.
Mhm,
Like it's just
mhm.
greedy.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to start practicing gratitude for where I had been, where I
Mhm,
am, and where I'm going. So I had to
mhm.
practice gratitude so that I stayed in the moment, right? Like
Okay.
without gratitude, I naturally, my urgency and that desire to
Mhm,
quickly move can be unrestrained, right? Because
mhm,
that greatest strength can become my to
mhm,
move, the ability to move when other people don't. If I don't counter that with gratitude, my greed will take over and I'll make
mhm, mhm.
unmeaningful use of the time.
Yeah. Well, and where yours was greed, mine was fear, primarily fear of what people would say. What would they think? If it looks like if I'm not continuing to be, as they title, success.
Yeah.
Right? So I stopped defining my success by other people's definition of it.
Mm,
I set my own success factors, then set the numbers to measure my success path, not someone else's,
that's real good.
which really changed everything for me. Because when, the yogurt hit the fan in my life, maybe 20 months ago,
Mm,
you know what? Those numbers showed me how far off the pedal I could pull to
mm,
deal with the trauma and the side effects of what was happening and still remain profitable.
that's great.
Because I cared less about what people's perception was of the slowdown.
Mm,
They didn't know what was behind the slowdown, and they surely were not the ones defining the success. But for many, many, many years, Shay, my anxiety was driven by fear of what other people would think of me.
mm,
And so yours was driven by greed, and mine was straight driven by fear of man.
mm,
Now, one more thing I want to add before we sign off today, and that is so important in fostering patience, is in the gap between what do I do and what I am doing, the gap between here and there,
yes.
what I am doing and what am I supposed to do, is the profound need to look at what you need to improve upon, or what skills and knowledge you need to add to your business.
Mm,
Because most entrepreneurs believe, oh, because I've gotten some clients, I've made some money, people think I'm kind of a big deal, that you got this thing dialed down and drilled in. But then the unknown hits, and there's this gap of, well, but this has been working, why isn't this working anymore? If you're asking yourself, this was working and now it is not working, you lack the skill of measuring. That would be a good thing to learn, is how do I measure the impact of this so I can see if it really does work? And once you know how to measure when it stops working, the numbers tell you why. You can course correct in a
right.
matter of hours. not days, weeks, or months, just hours, so that the atrophy doesn't sit into your profits. That's just one skill that could be developed in this time of what this is always working. Why isn't it working? And do I need to change or add something new? The skill of measuring would be a huge,
Mm.
huge piece to attend to if you're asking yourself that question. What have you found in that gap, Shane, that fosters patience?
So for me, I think it's curiosity, developing this skill of curiosity,
Mhm.
because the opposite of someone who's curious is a know-it-all. So
Mhm.
if I've been successful and
Yeah.
have now gotten to a place where I'm saying, okay, the winds of change are blowing and I don't yet know what the direction is. If I
Mhm.
don't maintain that posture of curiosity, I'm not going to go out and explore. I won't have the openness to innovating.
Mhm.
I'll have a defensiveness towards change,
Mhm.
that is the death nail.
Yeah.
When you need to transition, if you have a defensiveness towards change, that promotes an accelerated decline.
Mhm.
That curiosity, it's exploring
Mhm.
out and looking and seeing, like, what are the possibilities,
Yeah.
right? So once I have clarity that yes, change needs to occur and I am now ready to start moving in that direction, it's patiently exploring opportunity,
Mhm.
right? But if I think my way is the way, then I'll look at
Mhm.
all those things and say, yeah, but
Yes.
in this
Yeah.
moment of transition, we've got to be in that posture of learning and
Mhm.
openness. And the opposite of
Mhm.
curiosity will kill the business.
Mhm. Yeah, and I really do believe, I'm just going to put this out there because I was this person and lost my business, that the mentality and the leadership style of, I have one strength set and you have another strength set. So you work in yours and I'll work in mine. And when I don't know what to do, I'm going to come to you and just say, you do it, is a very poor style of leadership, because leaders naturally are learners.
Mm,
And so they value the process. They might not have, they don't always have to be the ones to execute it, but if you don't have the money to pay someone well, then it's you, my friend, that should really hone the
mhm,
skill set of understanding what got you your success and measuring that success, duplicating that success, and then outsourcing it to someone else. Well, the only way to know how to do that is to develop new skills and knowledge, which comes from curiosity.
mm,
And the virtue of patience slows you down long
mm.
enough to take meaningful steps forward so that you are not erratic when people are greedy.
That's right.
You will be patient and you will not jump. And when people are afraid, this is when you become greedy,
Mhm,
is exactly what
mhm,
Warren Buffett said. We
mhm.
mentioned that at the top of this conversation. But I want you to see how all of this is interconnected. If
Yep.
you want to be an
Mhm,
owner that knows how to harness the virtue of patience inside of your business, making decisions and waiting for right opportunities and hiring good people, then you're going to have to slow down and make meaningful steps,
mm,
develop a skill of curiosity that allows you to remain a learner. So you
mhm.
can see in the gap, what do I need to learn? What is missing? What is the knowledge that I don't have that I could go get?
Yep.
And so with that, I will say that, Shane and I have learned a lot about systems and the lack of
Mm,
systematizing. And it is true that systems run your business, but you and I run the systems. And if we are impatient, the system is going to be chaotic.
that's right.
So, in order to really control those systems of technology, we ourselves have to exercise self control, which only comes
Mm,
from a root of the virtue of patience.
it's
So,
good.
I hope that you found value today. Shane, thank you so much for joining me in this conversation.
Right on.
I just love it when we
I
do
do too,
this.
man. It's great. It's great. Thanks for
Uh,
having me.
Yeah. All right, guys. Bye.
See ya.